Welcome back to another episode of Coffee and Wrestling, a wrestling podcast, where we bring you the perfect blend of two of our favorite things, a steaming cup of coffee and the thrilling world of professional wrestling. I am one of your hosts, Jamie.
And I'm Mark. I forgot that's my cue.
And we are going to be diving into the latest news and developments in AEW and WWE.
We're also going to be sharing our opinions and how we feel about shit.
And that's the best part, right?
Is it? Is that the best part?
That's why you stick around and listen, isn't it?
Oh, apparently my set's done. Of course, I put it on Do Not Disturb in the first 5 seconds we start the podcast that we're going to have a snafu like that.
I thought you had like a soundboard or something over there. I was like, is that the route we're going now?
No, it's not to swag on or to flex on anybody. It's my workout app that I have. And I forgot to finish out my workout from like 2 days ago. Like I never hit finish. So I just happened to look at it and I went to dismiss a notification, and apparently that was like for my next set. And so when it's got an auto timer, so after like 2 minutes it rings the bell. So
nice. So it's been thinking you've been working out for like 48 hours.
Yeah, it's pretty up there.
Just leave it.
Yeah, I've done that before. I've done it. I think the longest one I've ever had was a week, but this one I'm sitting at 42 hours, 15 minutes, and 56 seconds.
Damn. Getting
going
swole.
on. Yeah, you got to
trying to get that Bobby Lashley, you know.
Well, the whole idea is you can't ever stop working out. Like that's the whole thing. You never stop working out. That's how you get that physique. Even when Bobby Lashley goes out there for Raw and gets destroyed by another man that probably just sits on his couch. No, he's actually losing gains. As soon as he hits, like goes back into the gorilla position, they've got 315 on a bench, and he just pumps out reps of 5 to 6.
If you actually look underneath the really nice outfit, he has weights on his ankles.
It's a compression suit just to keep his body from tearing through the outfit, because that man, like, especially as a man, you kind of know when you start feeling good about yourself, and you're like, man, I'm working out a little bit. You start wearing like a shirt that's a little bit too small, and it makes you look good. And Bobby Lashley knows that.
Medium.
But I think Bobby Lashley hasn't bought a new suit since he moved from like 215 to 235,
right?
Because that man looks like he's like at the smallest turn, he's gonna burst. He's gonna burst out of those fucking outfits.
That's how Wardlow dresses.
That's how I want to be.
Yeah,
I want to be bursting. And granted, I'll have to just get extra small, but that's beyond the point.
So let's start off by talking about the latest in AEW, and what better way to start off than by talking about Maxwell Jacob Friedman,
the fucking scumbag himself,
the scumbag of the world.
Yeah, he had a
where shall we start?
Well, let's start right from the get-go. Dynamite started up on Wednesday night, and we were treated to a AEW World Title match right off rip. I mean, you never see.
I believe it was an eliminator match, correct?
Yes, it was an eliminator, but still, you had your AEW World Champion in action
at the beginning of Dynamite.
Match, which I thought was great.
They're never afraid to do that. You know,
instantly grab the attention of everybody.
Exactly.
It makes the title important, but it doesn't make it so important that you have to put it as the main title the main event every single night.
You don't, but I feel like MJF's story was so intertwined with Dynamite that it had to kind of get the match out of the way in a sense so that he could continue to be a part of like Brian Danielson's match.
A lot of wrestling promotions are doing that with their top storyline.
I mean, if it works.
I mean, we were talking about notes, or we were doing notes right before this, and we noticed that pretty much pretty much all of SmackDown was
the Bloodline?
Was basically Bloodline. Like the main focus of it was Bloodline, whereas in Raw had almost nothing of it. It had a little tidbit of it.
You know, if the story's good, the story's good. And a great example of this has nothing to do with wrestling or stories. The great Dimebag Darrell said that, you know, when you are making music, why save the money riff?
Yeah, he's always said, like, in Pantera, we give you the money riff, the riff that you want to hear.
Yeah.
Like the thing
you don't want to wait for that.
The thing you want to bang your head to. Why am I going to put that only in the verse or the chorus? I'm gonna make that go through the entire song. I'll play it a little bit different, and then we'll go right back into the money riff, and you're gonna love the entire song. And that's exactly what they're doing. Is they know that Sami Zayn, the Bloodline, Cody Rhodes, like it's the talk of the town in WWE land.
And MJF, I mean, we'll talk about it. MJF got to the point this week that he did a backstage promo, talked a little bit about a scenario And there were over, last time I checked, like 300 calls to the local police department about MJF saying he basically committed a felony.
Yeah, and framed somebody, a young woman for, DUI and yada yada. A lot of people, it's fun. We'll get to it. We'll get to it. So we started out Dynamite with Konosuke Takeshita taking on MJF in a AEW World Title Eliminator match, and instantly the walls were burning on the barn because
Absolutely.
These two. It was great. I think you and I, there were numerous times, because classic marking out for wrestling. When you have something like this, even an eliminator match, like you can look at it and be like, okay, I could see them giving this to the challenger, and I was really hoping they were going to do that. I was really hoping they were going to give the win to Konosuke, let him look good like that, and then get the loss when it's the title match, and whether MJF cheats and gets the win. I was hoping they were going to do something like that. And there was numerous times during this match that you and I both thought, like, holy shit, they're actually going to give it to him.
What a great way to put him over,
Right, but at this point,
he deserves it.
Does he need it?
Does he need it? No. Does he deserve it? Yes.
Yeah.
He looks great. Obviously, he's out there giving it his absolute best.
Mm-hmm.
MJF doing his absolute best, and classic Eddie Guerrero style, lie, cheat, steal, do whatever you got to do.
Oh yeah.
He's involving Paul Turner get in the way of the ref.
It was a relatively clean match for MJF. There was no outside interference.
I mean, he at one point looked like he was going to rip Takeshita's shoulder.
Yep, he's with that
his arm separate literally.
I don't know the name of it, and they say it every week, but that like an arm bar almost.
Yeah, you just wrench it backwards. It's just awful.
But yeah, he ends up getting the win. After they went round for round. Like I said, there was a couple of times that we both thought that Konosuke was going to get the win. But they played the story right. They made MJF look super heel. They made Konosuke look super strong. And then this all accumulates towards the end when MJF gets the win. He gets the ring from Paul Turner for some reason. He had the ring, I guess, just to make it fair. Ends up pie-facing Paul Turner and then hits Konosuke with the ring, splits him open. So we've got this, brand new to American television Japanese star who's already split open, already adopting the Americanized wrestling antics.
Of course.
Which cues Brian Danielson,
of course,
to come to the save of Konosuke, just furthering even more storyline with MJF.
Mm-hmm.
He does have, we'll get into that match here in a minute, but then it goes into shortly after a promo, like you said, to where he claims of switching seats with a young lady on prom night.
Let's call her Liv.
And of course the internet blows up. MJF is so good at just dropping these little tidbits, whether it's Liv Morgan or it's, he'll adopt, or he'll have like a wrestling hottie hanging out with him in the boxes,
right.
And you're like, well, who's this? And now you're like Googling, you're searching, MJF's hanging out with, what is it, Dom Daddy? I don't remember.
Something like that.
Or something like that.
She's from Colorado.
And it was great. Like, he knows how to get Twitter firing. He knows how to make his name, whether, and I've said this before, good, bad, or indifferent, heat is good heat.
You know?
Especially on Twitter.
Yeah.
But he had a good segment. I don't know. A lot of people thought it was like this amazing blowaway segment. I thought it was a very, like, you could see the destination 10 minutes before we even got over the fucking hill. So you knew not maybe exactly how he was going to word it, but you knew he was going to do some slick bullshit because, he's got that cocky blue Camaro and out partying with all the honeys.
Yeah, and it's great because he tweets out a picture of him with the blue Camaro.
Which apparently he did own a blue Camaro. So again, this is MJF taking elements of his real life experiences and intertwining them with a character that is Maxwell Jacob Friedman.
Right.
MJ, I guess Maxwell
embracing
Jacob
the
Friedman's
scumbag.
the person. Right. He's embracing the scumbag and he's intertwining his real life experiences so that it feels real.
Yes.
He had a blue Camaro when he was 17 years old, 18 years old.
Doesn't
and
mean
he's
he
got the photos.
It
doesn't have to make this shit up where you're like, oh, you can't go online and be like, well, I don't see any register of him having a blue Camaro in the years of 2000. And like, there's idiots that'll go out there and do this, and he's good like this. He can intertwine this stuff and then do exactly that. And he creates such a fuss that 300 plus calls go into whatever county police station wanting to look into this, and it's just like, God, it's so good.
It is.
It's so good. If you don't like MJF for his antics, you've got to like appreciate him for what and how he does it.
He is not, I think, talent-wise, the best person to have the belt right now.
In the ring-wise, you mean?
No.
Oh, I 100% agree.
I think he is the best person to bring in ratings and get people to watch it, you know, because he is going around basically saying that he doesn't have to be at these matches. He doesn't have to come to Dynamite. He doesn't have to do anything like that. He only needs to compete at the pay-per-views.
Right.
But when he does come to Dynamite, they play it off as, well, he's contractually obligated. So it just, they're playing into the story so well.
So you're saying he's the Steven Seagal of AEW?
The Steven Seagal.
He looks great on the outside, not the best in reality.
Yes. It's packaged well, you know?
If you think wrestling is fake, if you haven't seen Steven Seagal demonstrating his martial arts abilities in Japan,
the worst thing.
Oh, but it's the best thing. It's the best thing. Oh my God. He is the Danzig of martial arts.
Yes.
He is the worst human being to ever compete. He just go watch it. It's don't do it while you're driving. You'll die.
Yeah.
It's funny as hell.
To further into the MJF storyline, we have Brian Danielson versus Roosh up next. Basically, MJF promised Roosh that he would get a 5 suitcases worth of money. Gave him a 1 suitcase advance.
I believe he said that one case had $100K in it too. So that's
okay. So he's going to give him $500,000,
$500,000 to end
to break his arm, right?
Just end him.
Yeah.
Maybe I think he said it might have been break his arm. I just know he wanted him out of the picture.
I mean, if you saw Brian at the end, you would have thought that he might have actually ended him.
I know, right? It was bad.
Brian is a phenomenal just human being in general because I've been watching him for years, ever since he was in WWE. Unfortunately, I never watched Ring of Honor back in the day, so I never saw him back then. But he has just become the guy who has just gotten better every year.
Oh, yeah.
This match was great. I wasn't 100% like sold on Roosh yet. I don't know what it was about this. Like, it I don't know. It really spoke to me. It was just a really good match. I enjoyed it. It was hard hitting. They both,
to say the least,
equally gave it to each other back and forth. Brian started bleeding, unfortunately, very early in the match.
I'm still unclear as to what happened, but it definitely didn't look like a spot because Roosh at one point was holding Danielson's head, and the gash that was above his right eye, like in the middle of his forehead.
It was nasty.
It was probably about an inch wide. It actually
made me kind of queasy, and I'm not like that.
It was a large wound, and whether it was
he threw him into the barricade, so I don't know if he hit something over there.
Yeah.
But it was like shortly after.
Look at Joe, Samoa Joe. What was it, last week, 2 weeks ago?
I mean, that was a chair when Darby Allin threw it.
No, it was the table. It was the edge of that table.
You're right. He was going to set up the table.
But even then, that split him wide open. I mean, head injuries.
That was
bad. It may have looked worse than what it really was, just because it's head injuries. They bleed so bad, and
of course the adrenaline, the heart's pumping. Yeah,
that's the whole idea with wrestling is that's why they cut in the. That's why they blade in the forehead area. Is it's easy to hide. On top of that, your head wound mixed with the sweat, it looks good. Like, you know what I mean? If your chest was pouring blood, that's one thing, but you got blood dripping down from your forehead onto your face. It's just so happens that it just pours that well.
Of course.
And if you've ever busted your head open by accident and slam into a wall or have somebody knock something over your head or something like that by accident, you would know that it just drains, even without the adrenaline, the sweat, and the constant like blood pumping, like just sitting there crying like a 12-year-old kid with your head in the the bathroom wall. That shit bleeds.
Yeah, he was rocking the crimson mask and didn't miss
instant.
A beat.
It was instant.
He didn't miss a beat though.
Never does. He fought for so long that it eventually stopped bleeding, which is common. They stop fairly quick.
Right.
But
MJF's on commentary this entire time, of course, egging it on, claiming Roosh is going to win, and a lot of times it did look like he was going to pick up the win, but I mean, come on, you had to give Brian the win. You can't tell us you're going to get a hour-long gauntlet match and not give it to us.
Oh, yeah.
Not gauntlet match.
Well,
I'm sorry, what is it supposed to be?
Iron Man match.
Iron Man match.
Well, and not just that. This was Brian Danielson's last match that he needed to win. in order to put himself in the number one contendership. And I don't think anybody's really talked about that. Brian Danielson is in the number one contendership for a world title match, or for the world title. And I wish I would have done my research. But when was the last time Brian Danielson had a shot at a world title?
Honestly, I don't know. I would have to look back.
I mean, it was definitely his WWE days.
I mean, he had...
And that was before he had to, quote-unquote, retire.
I think the last thing that he did in WWE was WrestleMania. I don't know if that qualified him for any type of title. I mean, because he left shortly after, if I'm not mistaken.
We'll have to
his
look.
Contract ended.
We'll have to look that up. But yeah, it was... This is going to be his first world title shot in a few years. I can say that confidently without even looking anything up.
For a while. He hasn't gone for anything.
He's been at least a year. He's been out for what? You say 3-4 years at the most?
Yeah, he was out for a while with the injuries.
You know, so that's what? You think it's probably his first title shot in probably like 5 years?
You would think so, yeah.
You know?
But his first time in AEW really going for something like this, and he's been known to say that it wasn't his reason for getting into AEW was to win titles and be that WWE guy that comes over. So, I don't know. What do you think? Do you think that Brian's going to end up winning, or you think MJF's going to retain?
I think MJF's going to retain, whether it's by... I don't think it's going to be a clean win.
Yeah.
I think in that it fits right into the MJF motif. I think it's going to be a great match, but think of the stipulations. It's an Iron Man match. That means, is there DQs? And if there is DQs, to what extent? You know what I mean? But I don't think Danielson's going to be able to win this one. Just because I think I just don't think it's going to be the right time either. I think MJF's too hot right now with the belt. I think Danielson's too good of a commodity to put the belt on.
I mean, he can take the loss
for sure. He hasn't lost yet, I don't believe.
Yeah, he has lost.
Danielson. Oh, that's right, he has. Well, he hasn't lost in a while. You know what I mean? And I just think you're right. He can take the loss. I think MJF could take the loss, but I think it would be silly to do that right now. He's just got so much heat on him that wait until you have your next guy that you want to put as the face of the company, to dethrone him. And I don't think Danielson's it. And I think that because I think you put the belt on Danielson, number one, you're going to have people whine, bitch, and moan about, oh, now the WWE guy's got the belt again.
Yep.
You know, and of course he just shows up and gets, and he didn't, but you're always going to have that. And I think there's a little bit of legitimacy to that argument. Like you've started to lean on this AEW talent so much recently. Continue to do it. Your Lee Moriartys, your Jungle Boys, your Britt Bakers, your Jamie Hayters, you know. And,
but they acclaimed in singles matches, you know.
Oh yeah, I think it's gonna. I
think great guys there.
And I mean, even
and gals.
Oh yeah, and you know, even going after all this match has been over. Roosh ends up losing to Danielson. We're talking about homegrown stuff or wrestlers, you know. Who better than Top Flight and A.R. Fox? Granted, A.R. Fox isn't homegrown, taking on the Elite.
I mean, he's trained some of these people, so...
Oh, my God. But he's melted so well into the fold of AEW, and they put on a hell of a match.
Really killed it. I mean, as I always say, hate the Elite, hate Kenny Omega and the Young Bucks, all you fucking want. At the end of the day, they know how to make an entertaining match. They know how to perform. Story in the ring. The story's incredible. But they always make the other guys look really good. And this match, I would say the first 40% of it was definitely the Elite that had it.
For sure.
They were just absolutely decimating Top Flight and A.R., making them look bad. And it was a comeback story in a sense, like you said, it was a story,
for sure.
That they were telling. It was great. I absolutely enjoyed it. A.R. Fox is like my new favorite wrestler. Not that he's new.
No, he's a seasoned veteran. It just
he's just
AEW's been such a good, and I know there's argument of AEW versus WWE, but AEW's been such a good, refreshing look at wrestling to where you get to see not just what you see in WWE, you see different types of talents, and this is perfect. Like this is the Young Bucks and the Elite and Kenny Omega, shades of the Bullet Club, shades of even like shades of WWE, because you had the Young Bucks, they were the oh my God, if I would have thought about this 3 seconds ago, they weren't the Young Bucks, they were Generation Me in WWE. So they know how to be in that big time WrestleMania-esque crowd. And then you bring two people like Top Flight, who through trials and tribulations of the past 2 years have become one of the top tag teams in
Absolutely.
That's outside the spectrum of WWE.
Sure.
And then AR Fox, I said that's so weird.
AR Fox.
AR Fox is, he's a seasoned veteran. He was in Lucha Underground. He's been in ROH. He's
just a pro. Like there was
so
one
good.
spot. I can't remember particularly what happened. Somebody just like missed it just by an inch. I think it was Kenny Omega, and they had to like sidestep and basically.
Oh, that's right. Kenny Omega ran at the. I know what you're talking about. AR Fox went to get the tag. He was supposed to jump on the top turnbuckle. Kenny Omega either jumped the gun or AR was behind. He ran up to the turnbuckle, realized what was happening. They both stopped. Kenny advanced, and AR Fox, kind of hit him real quick just to create that second of time that he needed to be able to get up on top of the turnbuckle to hit the spot and continue. Like it turned into like a big series of events.
Yeah, it's just like a season pro move where it's just like a tiny little hiccup.
Mm-hmm.
If you're not really paying attention, you might miss exactly what happens.
Or you don't know what you're seeing. You would never even notice it. And
it's just great. There's no, big, I hate to say botch, but there's no botches. There's no mess up. It's just one consistent, the energy just kept flowing.
Yeah, they just
like throughout the movements, it never stopped. The momentum never stopped. The energy never stopped. AR had a great spot where he was just giving cutters to everybody.
Everyone was getting them cutters, them RKO cutters. Like I love them.
Can't get enough of all these guys.
I love them. But it was a great match. Unfortunately, the Elite retain. So again,
AR tried.
This was another match that was...
Two times I thought AR Fox had it against Kenny Omega.
Oh, 100%.
I was on the edge of my seat, literally yelling. And then after the match, I looked at Mark and I was like, what the hell? Like, you ever have one of those moments like where you're driving and then you get home and you're like, did I stop at the red light? Because you're just so in the zone. Mm-hmm. You're listening to the music, you're listening to the podcast or whatever it is.
Yep.
That's what happened there. I was like, this ended and I was like, oh shit, like I'm not there. I'm at home. Like, where are my kids? Like,
Oh God,
great
we considered watching wrestling if you don't know where the kids are.
They were home.
Were they?
They were fine.
It was a great match. I don't know where they're going with the trios tag title. They're doing a lot of focus on this. They have not said too much with I would say they wouldn't have done much with the tag titles, but later on we had tag title changes. This was a really good match. I feel like I say this all the time. I'm excited to see what they're doing with it and who's going to challenge the belts next.
It's consistent because I really thought they were going to take a break from the trios titles after the 7 matches that they had. I really thought that was going to be okay. There's going to be a month where you're not going to see any of these guys
or
wrestling.
At least they're not going to defend the titles, but instantly within like a week, 2 weeks, they're defending them again,
right back on TV like it's nothing. Like they haven't skipped a beat there either. Yep. So props to the Young Bucks and Kenny Omega for always showing up
and doing what they do best.
Now, although this wasn't for the trios championship, we did have another 3-on-3 match. And this happened on Rampage.
Yep, open Rampage.
Yep, it was members of the Blackpool Combat Club that included Jon Moxley, Claudio Castagnoli, and Wheeler Yuta versus The Butcher, The Blade, and Kip Sabian.
Over it. What is this? What is this cardboard box thing? Over it.
Mm-hmm.
Over. I don't know. He's Kip Sabian. I love Kip Sabian.
Kip.
Can't remember what box he had, but and then we also personal favorites of the show. Butcher, Andy Williams, and the Blade.
Shaved his head.
Look good.
I like it.
Looking good. Needs that monocle back. Now he needs he needs to look like an evil Monopoly man.
Okay.
You know what he's giving me vibes of? He's giving me vibes. If you've ever watched Looney Tunes, this is kind of dating how old I am. If you've ever watched Looney Tunes, whenever Bugs Bunny, he's digging through the fucking dirt and he pops up and he's like, oh, I took a wrong turn in Albuquerque. Yeah. And he's looking around and he's in like Saudi Arabia, and there's like the big hulking like Saudi Arabian guy with the turban, and he's got the white pants and no shirt, and he's got the mustache and he's bald. That's what Andy Williams looks like to me now, because he's got this like this thing hanging out of his like back pocket that's got something written down on it. I couldn't quite read it, and it's just like part of his gimmick, and he's got like a thick red waistband going with black pants, and all I can think of is like, yo, this dude's about to break out a scimitar and like pluck a hair off a bunny rabbit and like let it drop and watch it split into two. Yeah.
Which is funny because when I was a kid, I never understood that.
I was driving. It was right here on 491. I remember right before you pull in, right before Winn-Dixie. I was driving, and I don't know why, but I thought about that scene, and it dawned on me why he was. I was like, I never understood why he was dropping and splitting a hair. I was like, okay, splitting a hair. That's what I thought for years. It dawned on me the reason why he was dropping the hair was it was so sharp that I could split a hair. And it was one of those things I'm driving and went, what the fuck? Like, for 20 some odd years, I didn't even think, it never clicked. And for some weird ass reason, came back like an acid flashback that's why that he cut the hair in half.
I love it.
So Andy Williams looks like that guy.
Okay, cool. Thanks for planning that.
There's much more.
Not a dig.
No, I love the look. It looks great. Andy Williams always has like crazy appearance changes when he finally decides to do one.
He does, and he can do whatever he wants to. You know, I have seen, oh God, Every Time I Die, I probably saw like 6, 7, 8 times. And every time I saw them, he played guitar for them for a while.
By the way,
over 20 years.
Jamie's not just claiming Every Time She Dies. Andy Williams was a guitarist in a now broken up band, Every Time I Die, which is one of Jamie's favorite bands. And he started wrestling towards the end of their tenure. Once they decided to call it quits, Andy then took it and shifted to full gear to wrestling. So if you didn't know, look up Every Time I Die. Their music is quite phenomenal.
It is. But at any rate, I had seen them over the years. Every time I've seen them live, or every time you see them in a music video or any type of live event, he looks completely different.
Yes, but the attitude's the same.
Attitude's always the same. He looks like an absolute teddy bear and like a super nice guy. But then he does, like you said, the Bugs Bunny scimitar guy gimmick.
Well, it's funny with Andy Williams, and I there was more to this match than just Andy Williams. It was a really good match, but when he was doing his music, playing guitar, like he was never one to get in front of the camera or want to do interviews or do things like that. He was like known for not wanting to do that. Mm-hmm. And now I've listened to more podcasts and interviews and backstage segments with Andy Williams, and he talks about so many different things, and it's crazy to see the two different types of individuals that he's become with wrestling and his music.
Yeah, kind of coming out of his shell, developing his character.
Yeah.
Watching him develop his character over the years and doing different things and seeing like what kind of stuck. And I liked this match that was on Rampage because he got a lot of time. It was really good. I liked the back and forth between him and Claudio. Of course, BCC never disappoints.
No, never.
Fun seeing Butcher and Blade with Kip. I liked that too.
Yep, I know they've kind of, well, I mean, the Bunny and Penelope Ford have had tag teams before, so I'm sure it kind of stems from that, so it kind of makes sense. But I do like the aesthetic. The three of them look together, or look very good together. Kind of that darker aesthetic. Kip Sabian has kind of that, he's saying it, but like kind of that emo kid look with a smaller frame, and then you've got two hulking dudes that, if you don't know what Drag the Lake is, that's not only their finisher, but it's a reference to, I'm sure a volley of different things, because, Epitaph had Drag the Lake, and like you said, an Every Time I Die song. So I feel like the aesthetic between the three of these really go well together, and I could see them being maybe a contender against the House of Black, maybe a contender against for the trio's tag titles. I can see them as a faction going forward, and I kind of hope they do, but I understand if they don't. But they were able to complement each other very well, especially with
their wrestling styles work, their aesthetics work,
and then
it just makes sense.
With this match, we got Jon Moxley, Claudio, and Wheeler Yuta, and you could literally go Blade, Butcher, and Kip, and size for size, pound for pound, about everything with these guys matched up.
Agreed.
And the match was great. They really showcased everybody's power, everybody's moveset.
Yeah, talk about power and talk about small guys, big guys. What about that German suplex that Wheeler Yuta did on, speaking of the Butcher?
Oh my God, insane.
That was impressive.
Wheeler Yuta, for somebody who looks like he couldn't deadlift half a pound, like, he is extremely strong.
He is.
And he knows how to use leverage the right way to move big men like that. I'm very, very impressed with Wheeler Yuta as a wrestling fan. I didn't know anything about him going into AEW, and when he started to kind of show up, we were like, what the hell is this dude? I have grown to absolutely love Wheeler Yuta.
I agree. I'm a huge fan of his. And remember that William Regal said, Wheeler Yuta, you don't need me. But William Regal's son did. So good for Wheeler Yuta. You're the man.
Yeah. Awesome. Great match.
That'll about do it for AEW. Let's move on to WWE.
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 Okay, you did it worse than I did, so now I don't feel nearly as bad. Good. We'll just dive right into it. We've got Elimination Chamber coming up. This coming up weekend, a week from yesterday.
Yesterday.
See, if I say it like that, then people can't come. They're gonna be like, "Well, you were wrong about what day it was." Like, well, if you listen, I didn't say a real word, so I can't be accountable for the things that I say if they're not actual real words.
You got it.
It's like if I insulted you and called you a shigamanga dude. I don't know what that is. You can't be offended because I don't know what that is. Somebody would get mad at me.
So yes, we have Elimination Chamber coming up. Always a fun one. Always an interesting one.
I actually hate Elimination Chamber.
Oh,
I'll
really?
be the first to admit it.
I like it.
I don't like the match. I think it's, for a 6-man match, I think it's just a long, drawn-out pay-per-view match.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't get into it. Like, it's...
I think if you put the right people in there, I guess the anticipation of who's going to be coming out and, facing who.
I find myself that when I watch it and I don't get who I want to come out, I get upset and angry and I don't want to watch it anymore. Like, I just want this guy to come out to fight this guy. But no, they just never do it. And it's annoying. I don't know. Give me what I want. I pay my $5 a month for fucking Peacock. Give me fucking what I want, damn it. If you're not giving me what I want in WWE, then they're doing a shit job at being a product.
Well, let's start off with the product.
There's a reason why my name's Mark.
Regards to the men's elimination matches to determine the participants of the Elimination Chamber. That's confusing.
Far,
for the United States Championship.
So far, we already have obviously Austin Theory, who is the United States champion. We have Seth Rollins, Johnny Gargano, and Bronson Reed.
Right. 2 spots left, and both those matches happen on Raw.
Yes, both of them happen on Raw. And you had brought this up, and this was kind of off air, but I remember what you were talking about, and we'll bring it up when we talk about Brock and Bobby. Bobby Lashley lost his position but his chance at a WrestleMania match, an Elimination Chamber match because of Brock Lesnar.
Right.
Regardless, I might have to edit that to go somewhere else later on the podcast, but it just dawned on me as we were talking. But yeah, we have Austin Theory, Seth Rollins, Johnny Gargano, and the newest member of Raw, I guess, in WWE, Bronson Reed. Very happy to see that happen.
Yeah, the last 2 couldn't be more polar opposites.
Right. But then we also had basically the Street Profits. Both had their own individual matches for the Elimination Chamber.
Yep.
A lot of people speculated.
And going for both, really.
Yeah, a lot of people speculated that it was going to go to both of them and kind of start sending the dissension between these two because that's been kind of creeping. They did it a little bit about 6 months ago and then had them come back together after I think Angelo Dawkins got injured. But we had Damian Priest took on Angelo Dawkins and Elias took on Montez Ford. And only one made it. Montez Ford, my dude.
I love Montez. I love Angelo, but Montez
I was going to say, I'm like 3/4 of the way with Angelo, but Montez Ford is my dude. He's like Angelo Dawkins in NXT. I think both those dudes have very similar aesthetics, and I think they're
Angelo Dawkins in NXT.
Or Angelo Dawkins. Oh, my God.
Carmelo Hayes?
Carmelo Hayes, thank you. Wow. That's going to make me sound terrible. I'm just terrible with names. Honest to God, ask anyone. Give me a movie star, especially women. I have no fucking idea who they are.
I can't tell you, truthfully, I can't tell you how many times I've been in a public place with Mark and I've seen somebody. There was a particular time where somebody walked up to him. We both know who she was. And she was, "Oh my God, Mark, I haven't seen you in so long." Gave him a big hug. Walked away, and he literally looked me in the face and said,
I played along.
Who was that?
No, yeah, she walked up to me, and she grabbed my beard, and I'm one of those people, like, you wouldn't do that unless you know me. And I also know how terrible my memory is. So I looked at this person and went, oh, fuck, I'm being dumb. I just don't remember who this is. I'll just play along. Oh, hey, what's up, whatever. And then as soon as she walked away, I looked at Jamie, and I was like, who in the goddamn shit was that? Because nobody grabs me. Jamie doesn't grab me by my beard. My daughter doesn't grab me by my beard. This random redheaded girl just grabs me by the face. Like, I don't know. I'm terrible with faces, so don't read too much into that one. But yeah, we had, unfortunately, Angelo Dawkins was not able
he took the L.
Win over Damian Priest, which I kind of understand. But Montez Ford got it over Elias. I could see that because there's not a lot of momentum behind Elias at all.
Unfortunately.
Which is sad because ever since Matt Riddle was no longer with WWE for the time being, which we haven't, it's definitely been more than 6 weeks.
Oh yeah.
But that storyline got dropped. Elias kind of got pushed to the back of the shuffleboard. I'm wondering if this is going to be, like I said, this is going to be the start of the singles run for Montez Ford and Angelo Dawkins each.
Sure. I'd like to see it.
What do you think of the setup for the elimination match? We've got, like I said, Theory, Rollins, Gargano, Bronson, Damian, and Ford as the 6 individuals for a title. Like, whoever wins this leaves with the belt.
Yeah. Tough sell.
Right.
I'm not a fan of Austin Theory's around, so Seth Rollins has to be there. Right. That's not my favorite. I think they'll build up to that being the big thing of, oh my God, here comes Seth. They have history.
In the chamber?
You know what I mean? Like that thing. I don't think they'll start off anything like that.
I don't think they're going to get it to Rollins, though, because they're teasing him and Logan Paul.
Yeah, no, I don't think so either. I think it's going to happen at WrestleMania, so that's just building more unnecessary fuel when other people could be in it.
So I
think Gargano being in it is just like they're tugging at strings or trying to make anything happen. I feel like that's a weird person to put in there.
I feel like the only person that would be like smart to put the belt on would be Damian Priest.
I was going to say Montez.
Really?
Yes.
See, the only reason I said that
because then it kind of splits off the team. It gives Montez and Angelo the opportunity to shine on their own because they definitely don't need each other, although I'm a huge Street Profits fan. They don't need each other. They're both great on their own, and I think that would be a good push for them to kind of do their own thing. Montez being on top, maybe even put a feud between the two of them.
I mean, they've had a little bit of back and forth every once in a while, some disagreements.
Montez is definitely cocky. He'll volunteer himself when it's not necessary, things like that.
I could see them doing it that way, but see, I think it's going to go Damian Priest because it's going to get a little bit of legitimacy to the Judgment Day. You got Rhea Ripley going for Charlotte Flair's title,
right?
Which will be at WrestleMania. If Damian Priest gets the belt, now you'll have 2 belts. If Rhea wins, you'll have 2 belts in the Judgment Day. I think it'll give a lot more legitimacy to the faction. So we'll find out come Elimination Chamber, which is this weekend, 6 days from when this posts. It'll be whoever's going to leave with the U.S. title, whether Theory's going to retain or, I mean, that's a real big uphill. He's going to have to fight 5 other people in the Elimination Chamber.
Yeah, I mean, even him coming away with the belt, I think might be a good thing for him just to try to push over that he really is good enough even to hold up to some of these top guys.
Oh, I never thought about that. Instead of dropping the title, or it would make him look strong if he ended up retaining.
I mean, look at Bronson Reed. That dude is huge. And if, like we've said before, if you know anything about what he's done in Japan, he's incredible. So to be like, hey, I won over him. I won over Seth freaking Rollins, like he always says.
Well, I think if he won over Seth Rollins, it wouldn't be the most outlandish thing in the world. He's done it before. I mean, you and I have bitched, I don't know how many times about how they do it again. But he's conceded,
and I think he might want that one more notch on his, on his bedpost.
Right.
One of those things.
It'll be good to see. I mean, I think this is the majority of, I think everybody except for maybe Seth Rollins and maybe Theory. I think this is their first Elimination Chamber. I don't know. I'm not too big on Elimination Chamber. So when it comes around, and honestly, this has been like the first full year we've really paid attention to to WWE. So a lot of the history is lost on us for the past couple of years, but I'm sure it's going to be a good match. They always do spots in the Elimination Chamber that you can't do in any other match. So whether you're climbing the cage, you're jumping off the cage, you're slamming people into the cage.
Brock broke out of the Elimination
Chamber. Yeah, he got
chamber.
tired of being in there, and apparently believe that was last year. He wasn't supposed to do that.
No. I
think he was supposed to hit it and make look mean, but when he did, it just completely decimated the walls.
Yeah, and just went with it.
He went full Chris Jericho and broke the walls down. I swear to God, this show is filled with nothing but stupid puns.
While we're talking about Brock Lesnar, let's talk about his feud with Bobby Lashley.
Brock Lesnar.
Yes.
Say it right. Paul Heyman would be upset.
Brock Lesnar. He came out with a $5 denim jacket and said that he was holding a contract to fight, said Bobby Lashley at Elimination Chamber.
It was. I think he said $1 million contract.
Perhaps in a $5
multi-million-dollar contract.
In a $5 denim jacket.
Yeah, he said there's in this $5 outfit, I have a multi-million-dollar contract for Bobby Lashley.
Yep. If he has the balls to come out and accept, Bobby Lashley does come out and he says that his lawyer, his best friend, his cousin, the guy next door, and everybody at the grocery store are going to look over the contract, double check, make sure it's legit. He'll get back to him.
Okay, real quick, speaking of lawyers, did you see the photo of Stokely Hathaway posted and tagging Tony Khan, and it was him and Al Sharpton? And he's like, hey, Tony Khan, I know you're going to make my wrist getting hurt, right? By the way, here's a picture of me and Al Sharpton. It's not related. I just figured, I'd post it with it. So good. Sorry. We're talking about lawyers and all this like stupid shit outside of wrestling, and that just popped into my mind. But yeah, Brock didn't really like his answer.
No.
He went to walk away, and Brock was like, "Well, fuck that. F5."
What else?
I mean, yeah. Somebody saw it or said it on Twitter. I'm 90% sure that Brock Lesnar is contractually obligated to F5 somebody every time he's on TV.
Yes.
And to be honest with you, I can agree with that because he came out, he destroyed Bobby Lashley, and now they have a contract signing set for this Monday on Raw. I'm really hoping this ends this kind of like pseudo feud we've got going with Brock Lesnar and Bobby Lashley. It's been going for like a year and a half now.
Shakeups.
And the matches, they haven't been that good. Like the past two matches have not been the greatest, quality matches. And I think it's just because you got two big meaty men, and me, I'm a huge fan of big meaty men, that I just don't think this works every single time. I think it maybe once or twice it worked, and then after that it's old hat, you know what I mean? So I'm hoping this is the end of this feud. I'm hoping that this, puts a cap on their matches, and then we move. If we're gonna move forward with Brock Lesnar, I think Bobby Lashley's gonna go and do the Hurt Locker stuff. But let's move on with Brock Lesnar. Let's put Brock Lesnar into something. Hurt Business. What did I say? Hurt Locker? Oh, that's the move.
Yeah.
Let's move Brock into another ridiculous feud with somebody else. I would just like to see some fresh faces with Brock Lesnar. If I'm gonna have to watch Brock Lesnar, give me something new.
Yeah, agreed.
You know what I mean?
Now we are leading on to the Elimination Chamber, and there is some unfinished business that gets taken care of during Raw. We had to determine who was going to be the last woman to participate in the Women's Elimination Chamber. Now, to determine this, we had a 4-way women's match. This match included the newly returning Carmella, Mia Yim, whatever you like to call her.
Yeah. Still haven't figured out if we're calling her one or the other.
She answers by both. Candice LeRae and the newly repackaged Piper Niven. Although not a new gimmick for her, just a new
gimmick for WWE Raw and SmackDown.
Correct.
Or main roster, or whatever you want to call it. I know NXT's now not the developmental. It's a technically third brand, but it's still a developmental.
Whatever they want to say.
But yeah, she is reverted back to Piper Niven.
I like it.
Which is what her persona was in NXT. She's more true to her character. She was called Viper on the indie circuit. She had her Scottish accent, and she wasn't quite as bubbly and cutesy as she is now. But we also had Carmella returning from injury. I believe she had something. I think she had her face kicked in. I can't remember exactly what Carmella ended up having. I know she had. She was pregnant for a while, had some complications, but I don't think this was related to that. But she returns and, in a surprise, ends up getting the win. Yeah,
honestly, I was really surprised here too. But
and
she ends up taking the last place. The first 4 places in this Elimination Chamber were determined by Adam Pearce, who said the last 4 women that were in the Royal Rumble were automatically going to go on to this Elimination Chamber match, obviously aside from Rhea Ripley.
And those four were
there you go.
Asuka, Liv Morgan, Nikki Cross, and Raquel Rodriguez.
You got it.
But we also had a 4-way match last week on, I believe, Raw. Don't check me on that. It's probably wrong. Where Natalya ended up winning.
Yep.
And
we talked about that, the Canadian role.
And the Canadian role, and another surprise, which I didn't think you and I thought that Carmella and Natalya were going to be the other two in the Elimination Chamber.
Nope, sure did not. Now this will determine the Raw Women's Champion #1 contender.
Right.
So we're talking a little bit about this. Who do you think is going to win this and face Bianca Belair? And this will be at WrestleMania, correct?
This will be at WrestleMania,
okay.
Which I do find kind of surprising. They've got one going for the U.S. title, which, if you want to, quote unquote terminology, is a mid-card belt. And now we have the Elimination Chamber, which is going for the world title. One of the world titles.
Well, they only have world titles. You have a SmackDown title, you have a Raw title. It's all they have for women, so that's all they can do.
I understand that. It's just one's for the title, and then one's for a #1 contender.
Yep.
Stop.
A little bit different, but I kind of like it. Not as cliche.
You don't. I guess you're right. You don't have to have everything exactly the same. This Elimination Chamber.
It kind of threw a wrench in things. When they first announced it, I went, "That's different. I
weird.
like it."
It's weird, but yeah, I liked it.
Who do you got? Who deserves this shot? Who's going to give us a good match at WrestleMania versus Bianca, who is just
Asuka?
Great. Thank you. You took the words from my mouth.
Knee-jerk reaction, like looking at the 6 individuals, there's no way Carmella, no way Nikki Cross, no way Liv Morgan. I just don't think they have...
No way Natalya.
Okay, I take that back. Maybe Liv Morgan.
So.
Maybe Liv... Yeah, I'm going to swap Liv Morgan and Natalya. I don't think knee-jerk reaction, Carmella, Raquel, and Natalya, I don't think are going to win.
I think Raquel would be a really good match, though. Raquel
I think she'd be a good
Bianca.
match.
But at WrestleMania, holy shit, that would be incredible. And I don't think Raquel's ready for that.
If you're going to put anybody over that's new to the scene, I'd say Nikki Cross. But if you said between Asuka and Liv at that point, definitely overall everybody, I think Asuka's going to win this.
100% gotta agree.
She just went away for a little bit, went back to Japan, came back repackaged as kind of her
talking
Asuka
about
Kana.
Bringing packages, old packages back from old gimmicks from NXT.
Piper Niven, Asuka.
Yep.
I think that they've got a lot of star power in Asuka. The fans love her.
Yep.
I know a lot of people bitch about she has a language barrier because she doesn't speak English, as clear as most people would like.
That sounds like that's a personal problem.
I think people can get their heads out of their asses and just deal with it. And
she
maybe
tells
just
the story without having to talk.
Right.
The face paint and the masks and the way she walks and the way she wrestles. It's just a different style. And I guess understand that Japanese wrestling is a different style than Americanized WWE wrestling can be. So it's different. I understand that too. For me, Asuka, I'm a huge fan because it's different. She's like, surprising I'm going to say this because we've talked about how much we don't necessarily like him. Chris Jericho is always reinventing himself. He's always a different persona. This company, he's this. This company, he's this.
Right.
To this day, I still talk about the list. I think that was just a great gimmick. Like, you're on the list.
And then once you make those gimmicks a thing, and you have some history and some just some severity behind them, you can bring them up later. And that's what Chris Jericho's doing right now. He's not even reinventing himself. He's going back to things that people want to see. They want to see the Lionheart Chris Jericho. They want to see, what was the clown one? The Painmaker. They want to see, Y2J. They want to see JAS Chris Jericho. He has, and he can bring these back to get, I guess nostalgia points. Like, wrestling fans are huge into nostalgia. You get any wrestling fan of any generation loves their generation of wrestling, and any other generation is fucking, does not meet up to the standards.
Yeah, but if you're going to continue to be throughout different generations of wrestling, you have to reinvent yourself.
You've got to adapt.
Constantly is doing that for me, where she's just, what's she going to do next?
Right, and I think that right there is going to be the push to put her into the main event, or not the main event of WrestleMania, to put her into the spotlight at WrestleMania against Bianca Belair.
Talking about Asuka, though, what a fun match between her and Chelsea Green, who has been repackaged, brought back to WWE.
And as much as she's been shit on in these three matches, or these two matches, and the Royal Rumble, I think she's doing great.
It's just so good. She has this Karen gimmick. She, on Raw, comes up to Adam Pearce complaining that wasn't Swiss chocolate. That was, I don't know, some other type of chocolate.
I've been to Belgium. That wasn't Belgian chocolate. That was some
Swiss.
cheap knockoff. This is bullshit. I'm going to get on the phone with your manager and tell them that you're not treating your stars properly.
Yeah, if you don't give me a match. So unfortunately for her, she had to face Asuka. Things didn't go well for her. Surprise, surprise.
Yeah, right.
Everybody did want to watch that match as the other contenders of the Elimination Chamber match were around the ring.
Yeah, I don't.
Watching,
we were watching.
At first was odd.
We were watching, and at first I thought, I was like, so is she vying for a spot? Like, is she trying to take Asuka's spot in the Elimination Chamber? Because that's when like you said, the other 5 members of the Elimination Chamber match this Sunday or Saturday, they were all just surrounding the ring like it was a lumberjack match.
I was going to say, it looked like a lumberjack match. It was confusing.
And of course, the match only went like 3 minutes. Asuka just completely destroyed her. Chelsea Green leaves the ring and ended up turning it into a promo for Bianca Belair to come out and just kind of to flex on people, I think, to obviously promote the match. I was really bewildered by the segment, though. Like, it was weird. Like, I don't understand why they were all out there, like, judging the match, like it mattered. Like, I feel like none of them should have been out there.
It was a cheap pop to get recognition for the elimination match.
I feel like you could have done the same thing. And I'm glad Chelsea Green was on TV, but I feel like the match was pointless. I feel like you could have done a backstage segment to further a little bit of storyline in the Elimination Chamber match. You could have had Liv Morgan and Asuka go toe to, kind of face to face. Nikki Cross sneaking up on Raquel Rodriguez, or all 6 of them being talked to by Adam Pearce, and then all hell breaks loose between all 6 of them. And Bianca Belair cuts a promo on all 6 of them at the time. Like,
it was a little weak.
I didn't think it was necessary. Like I said, I don't want to diminish putting Chelsea Green on TV, but I didn't think it was worth it. I think it fueled later on into her character, because then she complained again. And of course, you have Charlotte Flair's most recent opponent,
Sonya Deville. I believe she was talking to Adam Pearce. She was complaining about how she wasn't in the Elimination Chamber match. And, somebody's talking to Adam Pearce. Well, here comes Chelsea Green again. And she walks up to Adam Pearce and says, I want to know who's in charge of SmackDown. I want to complain about the Raw manager. And it was the same person. It was still Adam Pearce.
Yeah.
And she had to be like, Chelsea, I'm the same exact guy you've already talked to and complained about several times.
And in complete Karen fashion, acted like she had no idea what the hell he was talking about.
She said that she had facial blindness or something.
No, facial
like
amnesia.
And she said, are you trying to make fun of my disability?
I'm
on the floor rolling at this point. I thought it was hysterical. I mean, she didn't miss a beat.
No, I love it.
She is just great. Unfortunately, we haven't seen anything from her hubby, Matt Cardona.
I don't think he's making
Don't
it.
call him Zack Ryder.
Nope.
I think because they're not letting him have the gimmick. But clearly,
right?
They've threatened a lawsuit at this point.
I mean,
I don't think he's coming back.
But does he need to? Like, just the talk of him going to WWE is making his worth go up even higher. He's got stuff booked out through March. Actually, I saw him tweet the other day.
On the indies,
I saw him tweet the other day. He actually had to try. He's been trying to get a hold of anybody that's made bookings with him, because apparently he uses a physical calendar to keep track of all of his bookings, and he lost the calendar. So he has no idea. He's like, if you've booked me in the next 3 months, email me, because I have no idea. So he obviously has things booked up. I don't think he's going to WWE.
Yeah.
I think he got on that hype train, always ready. Always fucking ready. Doesn't matter when. Like I said, bad hype. Bad hype is good hype, and good hype is even better hype. So I think, the hype master himself is just riding the train of Chelsea Green going to WWE. I think Chelsea Green going to WWE is doing better for Matt Cardona than Matt Cardona going to fucking WWE.
Yeah, probably. Well, Chelsea Green, being the selfish woman that she is, begs Adam Pearce, not even begs, demands.
She is not being selfish. She is just she's looking out for herself.
Of course. And she demands a match from Adam Pearce, who says, well, look over here. Sonya Deville's over here. You're going to be teaming up with her, and you will be facing Liv Morgan and Raquel Rodriguez.
2 of the Elimination Chamber participants.
Correct.
And yeah, they had a tag match, and again, it was another one of those, felt like a time waster. I don't know if they're trying to establish them as a tag team. The match was not bad, and there's nothing, I'm not like knocking them. But this was on SmackDown, and I really did feel like all of SmackDown was just a 2-hour wrestling show based around the Bloodline segment.
Yes.
Everything on here, there wasn't really a lot of substance. There was Baron Corbin got dumped by JBL. There was
thankfully,
there wasn't a lot on SmackDown, and I think this was just another one of those filler matches. But we're leading. This is the problem with the road to WrestleMania, is we're leading up to Elimination Chamber, which has effects on WrestleMania.
Right.
And then once that happens, a lot of the matches to WrestleMania are set, and you can't really alter them. So the storylines end up being stagnant all the way up and through, until WrestleMania finally happens.
Right.
So basically what I'm saying is, hopefully in the long run, all of these matches that we see on SmackDown and Raw that don't seem like they're very congruent to a story develop into something, and I can put my foot in my mouth and say, man, I was really wrong about this match between this person, that person, and this person. But we won't see until, honestly, after WrestleMania.
And I think here we saved the best for last when I say that we are talking about the Bloodline. Now, there's no Roman Reigns this week. We can talk about the head of the table, the tribal chief.
Tribal Keith.
But he wasn't there.
He was there in spirit and in phone call.
Yes, although Sami Zayn was there a lot. Now, the question was, will Jey Uso be there?
Right. Let's start with Raw. That was the question. That was the question of the week, and we didn't get any answers on Raw. We got
nothing. We got Paul Heyman with 2 belts walking out to the ring.
We really didn't get any developments with Raw, with the Bloodline and Raw.
No.
But we did get a promo from Cody Rhodes. Now, if you haven't seen this promo,
you're doing yourself a disservice.
It's a pretty good promo.
Yeah.
They go out, and after all of this has been said and done, they've said that a lot of this was not scripted, a lot of this was off the cusp.
Mm-hmm.
And Cody Rhodes brings up some very personal things about back in the year 2000 when the Rhodes family wasn't doing financially good. Financially well. I have to use my proper grammar.
Yes. I'm proud of you.
And he told a story of how Paul Heyman went to Dusty Rhodes and offered him a paycheck. And in doing that, gave Dusty Rhodes his confidence back, ended up turning the tables, and Paul Heyman, for the first time I've ever
seen Paul break like that before,
was in tears.
Mm-hmm.
And you could tell that was a story that really hit him personally, and he mentions as such once Cody Rhodes gets done with his section of the promo, Paul Heyman pulls up the microphone and says, wow, you really got me on that one, and he's choked up for a minute, and it was one of those things like, damn, I can't believe Cody Rhodes, of all people, popped the bubble that is Paul Heyman. But I'm gonna let you take it from here, because
he did a great job, because he said, this isn't about your father, which, woo, that line alone was tough. Then he, like an absolute pro, because we're talking about ECW, he's been doing this forever,
right?
He just put the pedal to the floor and progressed right into his side of the promo, where he talked about how obviously there's a reason why Roman is the head of the table.
I'm pretty sure you could watch Paul Heyman suck the tears back up with his eyes. He
really did. Now, what was interesting was you want to talk about your dad, okay? Well, your dad was involved in talent that came up through leading to WWE, and one of those people is Roman Reigns. So your dad helped establish Roman Reigns.
But he also said that he didn't help establish you, Cody Rhodes.
Right.
Which is partly true. Obviously, I'm sure Dusty Rhodes has a lot to do with Cody Rhodes' training, but it was in a time where Cody Rhodes was not trained by Dusty Rhodes directly. And Paul Heyman hits pretty harsh on that note. There was a lot of personal experiences into this promo, and it was really, really good leading up into the WrestleMania, or possibly it might not even be Roman Reigns if Sami Zayn pulls the impossible off.
Which I like that something that Cody has been kind of playing off of lately is that, let's be real, Sami is a really talented dude, so it's in all rights possible that I'm facing Sami Zayn at WrestleMania.
And I like that they're doing that. They're breaking down that kind of like wall of, this is how it's going to be, and because that's always been something that we've always pointed out is, they'll promote a match, Roman Reigns versus X person while they're having a match of Roman Reigns versus Kevin Owens,
right?
And it's like, well, why?
How am I supposed to believe that Kevin Owens is supposed to win this when you already have another rivalry set up?
And they never reference the idea that he could possibly lose. And I feel like, I don't know if they're letting Cody Rhodes take liberties, kind of like, he's the outsider who, he's the woke. I've always joked about having like a quote unquote like woke wrestling gimmick to where that it's all pulled punches and acrobatics. Maybe he's kind of doing that to where he's like, maybe Sami Zayn is popular enough that they'll give him the belt.
Yeah,
and then I have to face Sami Zayn.
There's
at
a little
WrestleMania.
CD I'm gonna plant.
You know what I mean? And it
but
might be
good.
nothing.
Kind of makes you rethink what you know about wrestling.
And I mean, we'll talk about it because the next segment come SmackDown. They start out with a promo with Paul Heyman. And who interrupts him but Sami Zayn? So now we go from Paul Heyman having a segment with Cody Rhodes in a very emotional, moving, promo into immediately addressing the elephant in the room and having Sami Zayn show up.
Right.
And having him have a conversation with him right after just talking to Cody Rhodes earlier in the week.
Just a few days ago.
And if you do, like, you act like, wrestlers don't talk to each other in between shows.
Yeah, I know.
This is literally like the next thing Paul Heyman does. And it was another one of those where it's like, damn, there's a lot of emotion in this match because you got Sami Zayn, who's been dedicating his time and his effort, much like Cody Rhodes, to coming back into WWE. Sami Zayn's been trying to be a part of the bloodline, and now he's had his, everybody's had his, turn his back on him. So there's a lot going into him for this match come Elimination Chamber. And I love this dynamic they have just between this without even Roman Reigns being a thing.
Right. We can still have a bloodline segment that's so entertaining with no Roman Reigns.
With no bloodline.
No Solo Sikoa.
Unless you consider Paul Heyman the bloodline, which I mean, I guess he's the representative of him.
Sure.
But I'm loving this. Like it's got me hook, line, and sinker.
Mm-hmm.
And then, like you said, we bring up the topic of, is Jay going to show up for the WWE SmackDown tag title match that's on SmackDown?
Ricochet and Braun Strowman have won the there's like a tournament, a tag team SmackDown tournament, and were facing the Usos for the tag team titles on SmackDown. And we've heard nothing from Jay. Jimmy claims he hasn't heard from him. Yep. Solo claims he hasn't heard from him.
Ever since the Rumble.
Ever
since the Rumble when Sami finally turned.
Yep. So Jimmy was sweating it. He was really worried. And
even coming out to the ring, he wasn't out.
Yeah, Jimmy was going there, going down to the ring, and it was starting. And what is it, JoJo, the announcer?
Yes.
She started announcing like, oh, and I guess it's just going to be Jimmy defending the tag team championships. And all of a sudden, you look over and here comes
John
Jay.
Moxley style coming through the crowd.
And Jimmy deserves an award.
It's been
for
great
how
storytelling
well
with this.
He sold seeing his brother. It was like you haven't seen your brother because they've been in the military for 10 years and you don't know your brother's going to be there, and you're there talking about them, and you turn around, your brother's tapping you on the shoulder, and you're like, oh my God, it's one of those moments. It was like one of those moments for Jimmy. He was like, my brother. My dog.
It's the first time
my
you
dude
see
in the womb.
A non-confident Uso. I mean, he comes out, he was shook.
Yeah.
He holding his belts, like, all right, I got this, got to hold it down, but, he had no brother has been there this in like what 500 days, whatever we're going on with their title reign. All of a sudden he shows up. Damn, I'd be happy as hell too.
Absolutely. Wade Barrett. I have to just take a moment to say that Wade Barrett thought it was a good idea to bring this up, okay?
Before Jay comes back.
No. This was after he comes back. He says, okay,
oh, that's right.
Jimmy and Jay have the disadvantage here. They didn't prepare for the match. The only thing they can rely on at this point is the 15 years of tag team wrestling that they've had together.
God damn, that's not enough time or experience.
Wade, that might have been the dumbest thing I've ever heard.
My God, what an idiot. I'm not one to
I
call
don't think these two need to prepare.
No. They wake up prepared. They've been doing this. They're twins, for fuck's sakes. What? One's maybe a minute or two older than the other one?
They were trained by their uncle. I mean, this is like a family thing. Like, this isn't...
What was that?
I don't know what that... I don't know.
What?
Were they off their game because Jay took a couple days off?
That's. I mean, honestly, it's probably the longest they've gone without speaking to each other. But at the same time, I don't think that's such a disadvantage that it dwarfs 15 plus years of
tag team wrestling,
of just being a tag team. Let's not even talk about them being brothers for 30 plus years
or champions.
For almost 2 years being tag champions, and it's not the first time they've been tag champions either.
It's the only thing they can rely on.
I hate saying this, but as much as I hate him, I think Corey Graves is the smartest one out of the forum besides Michael Cole. But I feel like Michael Cole is like God tier announcer at this point because he's been doing it for so long.
But he actually knows the facts, and what bothers me sometimes is that Corey over knows the facts. I think he over prepares this stuff.
I absolutely hate when Corey Graves uses a pop culture reference that only has something to do with the hardcore punk scene, and only 7 people in the fucking audience would even understand it. And I understand it. And I look at Corey Graves and I'm like, God, how do I want to punch you in the mouth and sit down and hang out with you at the same fucking time? I think I'm just jealous of that man because he's got better hair than I do.
Yeah, you gotta give him that. So the match happens. Braun and Ricochet, they showed off their talent really well. They've actually become a pretty decent tag team, which is weird because it was a joke about it, but now it's a real serious thing. So they got their moment to shine, but let's be real, it's not time for the Usos, especially against those two in particular.
No, it's definitely not. I think they got something with the tag team. Maybe, I don't know if it's going to last long, though. I think that it's going to be one of those.
What's that? The Usos having?
No. Braun and Ricochet.
No.
I think it's going to eventually dissolve. But I could be wrong. I mean, they've had weirder. Look at the Rock and Sock connection, for fuck's sakes. I'm not sure.
Weird.
I'm not sure if that was supposed to be. I don't know if that was supposed to be a tag team, but you never know. We could be on the dawn of the newest tag team.
You're going to tell me Ricochet and Braun are going to be on Rock and Sock connection level?
Not Rock and Sock connection level, but
at
the same time, you never know. You've had
a Randy Orton and Matt Riddle, maybe.
Swerve and Keith Lee. You've got. I mean,
not meant to happen, but it just kind of worked.
It just works. Mm-hmm. People love it.
Mm-hmm.
But definitely not this match.
No. This wasn't happening. This wasn't happening. Great. It's just more storyline.
They look great.
They looked great. Jimmy and Jay, of course, picked up the win. They both looked hurt and tired afterwards, though. I got to give it to them.
Yeah, they looked like they were spent by the end of the match. I don't
they
know
were
if
done.
That was kayfabe or if
they were
just
done. I think
must
that
have
was
been that 2 weeks they didn't have to prepare.
Those 15 years, they really relied on it. It did them. They did okay, though. They ended up taking
Wade
the
Barrett, I've
belts.
got some bad news for you. You suck at commentary.
Wade, yeah, some bad news. So afterwards, Jimmy and Jay, they're walking back. They got the titles, the oos, whatever they do. And they're having a little. They're
just in the back going oos.
They're having a little conversation, and Jimmy was like, "So what's up, Jay? You feeling oosy? You with us? You against us? You feeling oosy? You with us? You against us?" And Jay was like,
"I don't know.
Not ready to tell you. I'm out." And he just walks away. Now you look in the back, obvious as fuck. Paul Heyman, boo creeping so hard, eyes bulging. What this term
was, boo creeping.
Boo creeping, eyes bulging. He's in the back. He fucking hears everything. It's clear. He hears everything, always. How dare you even think he's not there? And then Paul, a couple seconds later, walks up and is like, "Oh, hey, Jimmy, I see you and Jay retained. Oh, congratulations. So what's up with Jay? Did he say anything?" Jimmy's like, "Nah, he just left."
By the way,
so
I do want to, just in case anybody else out there didn't know what boo creeping is. By dictionary.com, it's an adjective, advancing or developing gradually so as to infringe on or supplant something else. Creeping inflation or creeping socialism. I think those last two might be a little bit.
Let's take that back part out. It's exactly
it's
what Paul
creeping.
did. You boo creeping. You're hiding behind a pole, eyes bulging. What's up?
That's one of those terms you don't need to know the definition.
Yeah, if you don't know now, you know.
He's boo creeping. What do you mean he's boo creeping? Look at him.
See him?
Okay.
See him? Yeah.
But Jimmy not being a hundo with Paul. not being a hundo with the bloodline. And Paul was on the phone with Roman directly afterwards. We also ended up having a segment with Jay walking through the loading docks and running into Sami Zayn.
Yes.
And it seems like they're kind of on the same page.
Yeah.
That are,
Well, they were talking. Sami said, great to see you, blah, 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 blah. And he goes to like, hey, you want the dap? Like, what's up, my dude? Like, I'll see you when I see you. And Jay sketched out, was like, we can't be doing that here. And Sami just stern was like,
but
the dap, though. And Jay, he took a deep breath, checked over his shoulder, hit it.
He dapped.
He hit it.
Blood might not be thicker than water.
I don't know. I think this is going to develop a lot this weekend coming up at Elimination Chamber. I think you said it was 6 days after posting. I think it's 5 days after posting. It's going to be a Saturday,
not a Sunday.
Premium live event. Thank you. That's a little bit more convenient for my schedule.
Right. It's always nice to wake up on a Sunday when you're tired.
Yeah, exactly. So, there's a little bit of interaction there. And eventually this led to another case of interaction between Jimmy and Paul Heyman.
Paul basically telling Jimmy to, he talked to the tribal chief, you should stay home. And I think it's probably a good idea because if you pull back the curtain, we got a couple of DUIs holding certain individuals from going to Montreal, Quebec, Canada.
A felony will keep you from getting that passport.
Yep. You would know. You just went and got your passport.
I just did go get my passport.
Ooh, I didn't think about that. It's pulling back that's pretty much the bloodline thing all in itself. I don't know what else there is to say about it.
Yeah.
I mean, it's coming to a head.
Oh yeah.
At least
partially. It's a crumbling.
I just wanted to end it before we got too far. But I didn't think about it. There's going to be a time come September. Hopefully we're still doing this podcast in September. You're going to be in Italy for a couple of days on a boat.
I'll be gone for a while, so I hope you're entertained by Mark.
I know. I might have to see if I can get you. I'm going to have to see if we can get you on a Skype call. I think a tipsy Jamie.
We could try.
I think a tipsy Jamie in Italy on vacation 10 days in would be interesting for a podcast.
Yeah.
But yeah.
That pretty much wraps up interesting storylines and shenanigans with AEW and WWE. Let's talk about the week coming up.
Hold on. I do need to stop you. Now we do have there is one thing we got to consider. We are not going to have a podcast before Elimination Chamber is over.
I'd like to, but we might not possibly. Yeah, we might not.
I want to go through the matches real quick.
Okay, sure. Let's talk about it.
See what we think, who's going to win, or who's not going to win, maybe. I think we've only got 4 for right now.
Okay.
And we're going by the Wikipedia, so, this is Wikipedia. Somebody probably just changed this to make it, completely wrong. We will go from the top to the bottom. We have the men's Elimination Chamber match. Who do you think's going to win?
Well, we talked about it a little bit earlier. If it's a matter of losing the title, Montez. Great push, break up the Street Profits, good singles run. If it's a matter of just building up Austin Theory, great way for him to retain. Look who I won against. All of these big guys, all of these guys that have been wrestling a lot longer than me. I think that's a good push for Austin Theory. So in the grand scheme of things, I'm going to go ahead and say Vince's baby boy, not Shane O'Mac, Austin Theory.
I'm going to have to agree with you on that one. I think it's going to go to Austin Theory. I don't think they're going to have him drop the title. I think it's too soon. I think he's got too much potential.
Let this one simmer.
Let this one simmer a little bit. What about the women's Elimination Chamber match between Asuka and Liv Morgan, Nikki Cross, Raquel Rodriguez, Natalya, and the ever lovely and recently returning Carmella?
Sure. If you're Corey, you would say that. Again, we touched base a little bit about this. Asuka fan all day. And I think, grand scheme of things, okay, Asuka wins. Can she beat Bianca Belair? Is it time for Bianca Belair to lose?
No. I agree.
No. Let that one simmer.
Asuka for the Elimination Chamber match for the number 1 contender, and then I don't think she's going to drop the title quite yet.
Bianca is a generational superstar.
Ooh, hot take.
She is. And so is Montez. It's convenient they're married. But both of them are seriously I just love them. Charisma, we've talked about this before. Charisma, wrestling, strength, persona, characters, outfits. I just can't say enough good things.
So you would say you are a stan for Bianca Belair.
Yeah, and I think she needs to hold on to it for a little bit longer. I will say that I understand Charlotte and Rhea have their own thing going. Cool for them. But I was looking forward to more Rhea facing Bianca personally.
That would have been nice.
I think that would have been fun. But
so, and we didn't get to talk about this. We have Edge and Beth Phoenix taking on Finn Balor and Rhea Ripley in mixed tag match.
What do Edge and Beth gain from this? I feel like they gain nothing. There's no reason for this.
Revenge.
No. They need to let, is it Finn? They need to let Finn and Rhea get the win.
Especially with how hot Rhea is right now.
Yeah, Rhea needs the steam. Let that continue to go. There's absolutely no reason that Edge and Beth Phoenix, who are just seasoned veterans here, need any more wins. I think Finn could use more of a push in his career, and that he could take the win with mommy holding his hand.
Again, it just sounds like I'm being a good husband and agreeing with everything my wife says, but I do agree with you in that notion.
Just really good at this,
Now, I think this is the only one that really matters in the long run. Roman Reigns with Paul Heyman taking on Sami Zayn for the undisputed WWE Universal Championship.
Yes.
Now, do you think that Roman Reigns could even potentially drop this belt?
Personally, no.
Do you hope it's going to happen?
No.
No?
No, I don't. I don't
know. I don't think they're going to have him drop the belt. Not a chance in hell. But if they did, I would 100% behind it.
I wouldn't be mad at it.
I would be.
And Sami Zayn versus Cody Rhodes at WrestleMania, like, let's fucking go. I'm in.
Oh yeah, 100%.
That'd be a great match. I think it'd be a better match than him and Roman, personally.
I do. I as well.
Sami Zayn is.
I'm kind of hoping that's what they're teetering towards.
Such a great wrestler. So I wouldn't be mad at it.
Cody Rhodes is white hot babyface. Sami Zayn is white hot babyface. It's gonna be good. It's gonna be. I don't know.
I think it's gonna be a great match. I think it's gonna be entertaining. This is the first time, aside from Kevin Owens, which is the last pay-per-view I know, that I've actually been excited to see the match go down. But I think this is just like how the last few pay-per-views have been. Survivor Series and Royal Rumble and all this is just, it's more to the story.
Yeah.
It's not about the wrestling. It's about the story that's elevating there. Like, maybe Sami Zayn interferes with Roman and Cody
Rhodes
gets the belt, and it's because he interfered.
You never know.
I personally think this is just to develop more to have Kevin and Sami versus the Usos at WrestleMania.
Well, we will find out. Elimination Chamber will be this weekend. We've got a bunch of matches coming up here. Come Raw, SmackDown. Raw, we got Lesnar and Lashley signing the contract. We've got Seth Rollins will be on Miz TV. Bronson Reed versus Mustafa Ali. There'll be a 3 versus 3 with Liv Morgan.
Can I just say, I can see it from a mile
Mustafa?
away that Mustafa Ali is going to need about 2 to 3 weeks to recover from the ass beating that they are setting up for Bronson Reed to get.
Oh, yeah. It's I can't see him coming out on top.
Ouchie.
We have a 3 versus 3 women's with Liv Morgan, Natalya, and Raquel Rodriguez taking on Asuka, Nikki Cross, and Carmella. And we are going to see a rematch between Rick Boogs and The Miz. Miz won't be wearing a suit, I guess, this time. I'm
sure that's what did it. It was the suit. It was the, $10,000 suit that Maurice bought him. That's why I couldn't fight you, Boogs. Get out of here.
Coming up on SmackDown, we also have Ronda Rousey making her return with Shayna Baszler in tag team action against Shotzi and Natalya. They had a segment last week. It was boring and stupid, and I still don't like Ronda Rousey or Shayna Baszler, and I don't know why they're doing this. Just to have Shotzi on TV, I guess. We also have Gunther will be taking on Madcap Moss, who ended up winning a 4-way match for the number 1 contenders match for the Intercontinental title.
I didn't see that coming, and I'm happy for him.
Hit me with a swerve on that one. Yep.
Let's go.
Emma and him have been active on the roster lately. Good to see them doing some things. And also we have Drew and Sheamus in the weirdest tag team. I don't know how they're still a thing and when they're going to start fighting each other. will be taking on, God, I can't even read my own handwriting, the Viking Raiders in tag team action.
Yes.
We also have, good Lord.
Let me take over for you as we talk about AEW Dynamite. We have, now, God, Tony Khan has just been giving us bang after bang. We have Brian Cage versus Jungle Boy Jack Perry. Mark Briscoe versus Josh Woods.
Good to see Mark
great
back on TV.
Matchup. I mean, I'm sure these two have fought being in ROH before.
Yes.
We have Tony Storm versus Britt Baker versus Ruby Soho. Adam Page versus Kip Sabian. What a lineup. And then we have the acclaimed Daddy Ass. Why not throw in Orange Cassidy too? Versus Jay Lethal.
Oh my God, I didn't even read
Jeff
that.
Jarrett, Satnam Singh, and Sanjay Dutt. And the pencil. You know.
The Acclaim came out to help Orange Cassidy when Jay Lethal, Jeff Jarrett, Satnam Singh, and Sanjay Dutt all came out to attack with the Golden Globe Award.
Yeah,
it's this big thing with the podcaster. If you
don't watch AEW, you are confused.
Yes.
It's okay. I can see it on your face.
Also, I heard MJF is required to appear on Wednesday night.
Contractually obligated. And we're going to round up Dynamite with a Texas Tornado tag match because Jon Moxley and Claudio Castagnoli will be facing Roosh
and finally
Preston Vance.
We'll see him come back since his heel turn.
Fuck.
Apparently Wardlow will be on there. Adam Cole's going to be on TV. Rampage. There's a few matches announced.
I don't have anything written down. My apologies.
We'll have Ricky Starks will be taking on Daniel Garcia, the rematch for his weird ass gauntlet match he ended up having.
Strickland will finally be facing Dustin Rhodes. They've been talking smack back and forth between each other. Swerve's been talking a lot about how much he does not like his brother or his father. Dustin takes that personal.
Yes, in the Rhodes family, they are not the only royal family, and they take their royal family serious.
Yep, so he'll be facing Swerve, which is, I think, going to be really fun as we watch Dustin Rhodes coming to an end of his career as far as wrestling. He did announce
that this will be his last year of active ring competition, so it'll be kind of bittersweet to start seeing some of his matches as he's winding up his last bit of his career.
I mean, his career has lasted as long as I've been alive. It's just absolutely insane. It's like 30 years. I remember being literally in like elementary school watching him wrestle. It's interesting that we're here and it's come full circle and we get to watch it come to an end.
No, I'm sure his creaky old bones will really appreciate him being able to retire.
I mean, he's going to be in the back, He's going to be a part of AEW for a long time. So hopefully you'll hear from us shortly after Elimination Chamber as we can do some kind of initial reaction as to what we think the pay-per-view, or I'm sorry, premium live event ended up, how we ended up liking it, how the matches, how we felt about everything going down. And I feel like the end match, obviously,
Sami Zayn versus Roman,
there's going to be some things to talk about. So hopefully you'll hear from us. Regardless, thank you so much for joining us for another episode of Coffee and Wrestling, a wrestling podcast where we brew the hottest takes and freshest coffee. I am Jamie. Make sure you follow me on Twitter at @abaconparty.
And I am Mark. I'm at Gunk Dudley. Make sure you follow us on every social media: Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, Facebook at CAW Wrestling Pod. We post every time WWE and AEW, and anytime we watch wrestling, we live tweet the events. We also take all of these podcasts and transcribe them into a video format for YouTube. So if you want to put it up on YouTube, if you don't use podcasts or anything like that, and you just want to throw it up on YouTube, find us on YouTube at CAW Wrestling Pod.
Share this with a friend. Give us a 5-star review. Looks like the majority of you listen to us on Spotify, so a 5-star review on there would be absolutely stellar. Thank you so much for everything that you do.
Make sure you take a picture of you listening to us and tag us on social media, whichever one it is, and we will make sure we shout you out on the podcast. And thank you so much for joining us, and we will catch you in the next episode.